Hi there. So this is a video we're going to finish up the problems from the final exam review for Algebra 1A. And if you missed the first two and you need problems 1 through 25, I'll link those below in the description so that you can access those. Let's begin with problem 26. But before we do, let me remind you, the whole purpose of the review is so that you have this review sitting right next to you while you're taking the final exam. So when you look at problem number 26, I want you to look at the review and look at problem number 26 to remind yourself of all the things we talked about so you're ready for that problem. Let's begin by looking at this problem 26. We're asked to find the slope of a line that passes through a pair of points. So for our notes, for our review, let's get that formula down. The slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, I was working with a student just yesterday, and they were getting confused with all of these twos and ones and la, 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 la. So here's what this really means, okay? This is saying the second y minus the first y. That's all that means. The second x minus the first x. Now you might be saying, well, where's the first x? Where's the second? Okay, so we were given 2 points, remember? And points come in x, y. So when I say the second y, that would be the second y. Well, here's the first y. There's the second y. So you would replace that with a 7. Okay, let's put that together. So the second y would be 7 minus the first y, which would be 4. Then you have the second x, 15, minus the first x, -2. Be careful with the -2. Then I want you to put in your calculator the top only the top. 7 minus 4 will give you 3. Then put in the bottom only, 15 minus -2, and you'll get 17. And that's your slope. If you've seen my other problems, you know I'm colorful when I do math. I like to use a little color just to have some fun with it. But that is your formula that I want in your notes so that you can use it on the test. All right, 27 is asking us for the slope of a line, but we're looking at a graph, okay? This line is horizontal. So I'm going to choose 2 points here. And I'm going to do my rise over my run. Start with your point on the left. How much do you rise? How much do you go up or down? None. How much do you run? 2. So your slope here is 0. The slope here is 0. Now, I want to make a note to ourselves for later on. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. And then I'm going to add one more note here. Vertical lines have no slope or undefined slope. Those are 2 different things, right? 0 is a number, but undefined is not. So I want to make that distinction. And these are, again, for my notes. I'll put those to the side. Okay, let's look then at problem 28. We're asked to write an equation of a line in point slope form for the line with the given point and the given slope. So let's begin with the equation, the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. So remember what the y1 means? First y, right? First y. Remember what the x meant? First x, right? And then we're told what m is. So friends, we're going to do some substituting here. The first substitution I'm going to make is I'm going to put in -3/2 for m. So I'm just going to do that first. -3/2 for m. And then my next piece, I'm going to make my substitutions for x1, my first x, and my first y. I'm going to make those substitutions. So I've got y minus 5. And then in place of x1, that's my first x, I'm going to put -2. The only thing I will add to this is because I have minus a negative, the answer choices on the final exam are probably going to have that as a plus, like that. And that's it. Because the problem asks for it in point slope form, we get to leave it just like this. We don't have to do any distributing or any of that kind of stuff that we may have done during class, which is fine, but we get to stop here for this problem. So hope that helps with number 28. All right, moving along, we're on number 29. Number 29, we're working from a table, shows the height of a tomato plant as it grows. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, now slope-intercept form we've talked about previously as y equals mx plus b. And you're given a table. So the first thing that I would find is m. Remember in our previous problems how we talked about finding the increase, right? When we do that, we actually are finding the slope. Now remember, you have to stack those to make the slope. So you have to say 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2, so my slope is 1. So friends, this is going to be the first thing that I substitute for m. So I have y equals 1x plus b. Now, the next piece, I'm going to take one of the points. I would probably like you to do this in order, so I would take the first point. Okay? 2, 5. And I want you to remember they come in alphabetical order. So this is x and y. So we're going to take and put 2 for x and 5 for y. So we'll put 5 for y and 2 for x. Did you notice I put a parenthesis around the 2? Why did I do that? Because I need to multiply, right? So I've got 1 times 2, which gives me 2. And now I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I get 3 equals b. Now this b value gets substituted into our equation. Now, do you have to write the 1 in front of the x? Nope. You can leave it as y equals x plus 3. And that would be my equation in slope-intercept form for this chart. Okay, let's keep going on number 36. We're asked to take this equation and write it in standard form using integers. All right, so the first thing we have to do is clear the fractions because standard form doesn't allow us to have any fractions. So that's got to be first step. Now, see that you only have one fraction in there, but you look at it and your denominator is a 3. So watch what I'm going to do, friends. I'm going to take my equation and I'm rewriting it. That's all I'm doing here. And I'm going to go through and multiply by that denominator. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to multiply this by the denominator. I'm going to multiply this by the denominator. And I'm going to multiply this by the denominator. You may say, why are you doing that? I'm going to show you, okay? Because 3 times y would be 3y. Notice that your 3's are going to cancel here. So you get negative 2x. And 3 times 5 will give you 15. Fractions are gone, right? That's what we needed. That's what we needed. Okay, then your second step is to move the variables to one side. So I need to move the 2x to the left side. So I'm going to add 2x because that's the opposite of negative 2x, right? Now, friends, don't add 3y plus 2x. Can't add those. They don't have the same variable. Instead, I want you to write it as 2x plus 3y. Just write them side by side. Notice that your negative 2x and your 2x go away, and you're left with 15. And this is in standard form using integers. So 2 steps, clear the fractions, and then move the variables to one side. Okay, let's go on to number 31. And this is where we're asking, are the lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So parallel means same slope. Perpendicular means opposite signs. And reciprocal. And if it doesn't fit into that category, those two categories, then it's neither. Okay, so remember, we're looking at y equals mx plus b, so we can tell the slope. We're looking for that number in front of x to tell the slope. Well, really nice for us there on that first equation. They've already put this in slope-intercept form. We can tell the slope. It's right there. This slope is negative 1/4. Already done for us. Okay? Now we have to figure out what the slope is on the second one because we've got to get it into this equation. So I'm going to subtract the x. Friends, remember when I told you I like my x's to come first? I'm going to do it again. And then I'm going to divide by 4 on each one so that my 4's cancel. I get y equals negative 1/4 x plus 3. Now look right there in front of that x. I want you to see that slope is also negative 1/4. So these two lines are parallel because they have the same slope, right? That's what we're looking for. Okay, let's move on to question 32 then. We're making our way there. 32 says, write an equation of a line that's perpendicular to the given line and passes through this point. So friends, remember, perpendicular has opposite signs and reciprocal. So looking at this equation, I want you to see that slope right there, 3/7. So my slope for a perpendicular line is going to opposite signs, so it's going to be negative, and I'm going to flip 3/7. I'll make that 7/3. So I'm going to use the slope 7/3, and I'm going to use the point 3, 0. So again, let's use our y equals mx plus b, because the first substitution we're going to make is that slope goes in for m. So that gives me y equals negative 7/3 x plus b. Then we're going to use the x and the y, remember alphabetical order, so that we sub in 3 for x and 0 for y. Let's see what that looks like. I've got 0 equals negative 7/3 times 3 plus b. So I've got 0 equals, let's see, negative 21 over 3. So negative 21 divided by 3 gives me negative 7. So b has to be 7. So we'll take a side step back to our equation, right? And we'll put that value of b in there so that y equals negative 7/3 x plus 7. And that is our line that's perpendicular. Practice with that. If you need to rewind the video and go back through that one again, please do. It's got a lot of steps in it, but I know you can do it. Okay. All right, friends, don't miss the freebie that is number 33. Remember what we do with freebies, right? We guess, and then we don't get upset about it, right? Because it's a guess. You're going to get credit for it either way. But you might as well guess, right? All right, friends, look at this. We got 4 more left. Okay, so 34 is saying, what type of correlation is suggested by these dots? Now, these dots may look random to you, but we actually can look at a kind of trend. So we're going to make some notes. Remember, if the dots trend up, we call that a positive correlation. If the dots trend down, we call that a negative correlation. If the dots make all kinds of nothing trends, we say it's no correlation. So what do you think about this? Does it look like it's trending up, down, or scattered? I'm leaning towards negative on this one because it does look like they are kind of trending towards going down here. And for that reason, I would say this is a negative correlation. Okay, for our number 35, I'm going to change our layout just a little bit. And so what you're seeing here, we still have our review down here at the bottom, but over here to the my left, you should see the Desmos graphing calculator. Now, friends, how I got there. I just typed in Google Desmos graphing calculator, and this is what came up. I'm going to use it for our next problem because I'm going to use one of the table features there. Now, if you have an 83 or 84, you technically can do this, although it's a few more steps. So I'm going to go ahead and show it on the Desmos calculator for this particular problem because everyone will have access to that. Now, when you're in Desmos, I want you to click this little add item and choose a table there, simply because we'll need to type in these values for the height and weight. So I'm literally typing with my keyboard 65, and then I use my right arrow to go over and do 180. And then nope, I don't want that one. Then I'm going to go here, next row, I just clicked it. I'll put 66, and right arrow, I'm doing 195. And I'll keep putting all of these values that I have in my chart. I'm just typing them in, 190, and then 72, and 210, and then 67, and 199. Okay. Now, nothing really happened on the graph because I haven't told Desmos what it is that I want it to do for us. Okay, friends, now you have to tell Desmos what it is you want. I'm going to actually write it on our note sheet because you have to tell it that you want a linear regression. So I'm going to type it. And then I'm going to write it, and then I'll type it. So that's an underscore. So when I type it, I have to do y underscore 1, then use your right arrow, and then you have to do the tilde, which is shift and then your far left corner of your keyboard. Then you have to do mx underline 1, then right arrow again, plus b. And look at what Desmos has already done for me. It's got my correlation coefficients right here. That's what my R squared and my R are. They are my correlation coefficients. And you're going to round to the nearest thousandth. So that is tenths, hundredths, thousands. That's 3 decimal places, right? So I'm going to say R equals 0.704. Friends, I didn't do any math really for that, but I got Desmos to tell me what I needed it to do for me. Okay. So think about that and let Desmos do all of the heavy lifting so that you can focus on using the tools. Okay, so let's look at number 36. We're still using the same table, so that's why I've got Desmos pulled up over here. Look at the other pieces of information that Desmos gave us. It gave us a slope and it gave us a B value. So friends, what it's telling us is that the line of best fit is y equals that slope, 2.67647, put an X on it, plus, and then your B value, which in this case Desmos says is 12.8. Now, number 36 is saying, okay, now with using that line, how much would you expect a football player if he weighs 77 inches? So what we're trying to do is put in 77 here for X. Now, friends, again, remember, I'm going to let Desmos do the heavy lifting. So watch how I type that in. I literally type my 2.67647, that's my slope, times the weight of the football player, 77, and then plus my 12.8. And Desmos gave me the answer. It's 218. We would expect, or sorry, 218 or 219, depending on how we're rounding. I'm going to round to 218.9. And I'm thinking that's in pounds, but I don't want to assume. There. Okay, so really, really use Desmos as your friend on those 2 questions, on number 35 and number 36, especially on the test as well. Okay, so let me change our layout back so that we can look at the last question here, which is problem 37. Now 37 says, okay, so you use the line of best fit to make a prediction. The correlation coefficient tells you that it's 0.109. How confident can you be that your predicted value will be reasonably close? Okay, friends, so here's the trick with this one, is I want you to take that correlation coefficient, and I want you to multiply it by 100%. You can do that in your calculator. It's going to give you 10.9%. That is how confident you are. You are 10.9% confident. Is that I can't be confident at all? No, that would be where you're 0% confident. I can be a little bit confident. Is 10% little bit confident? Or very confident or certain? 10% definitely puts me a little confident. Okay? So I hope that helps you with the review. My hope would be that you would use this review to do amazing stuff on the final exam, because I want you to just hit it out of the park. If you need to see the other problems like we discussed, they're going to be in the descriptions below. If you need something else, you'd like to see a different problem of something, be sure and leave me a comment. I would love the opportunity to help you further. But for now, I'll go ahead and sign off. Thanks, everyone.